Hello everyone, today I'll be presenting on Maison Duvelleroy and the attic archives that revived their fan-making craft. Although I've been practicing, please bear with me through the French names. Maison Duvelleroy made handheld fans for the upper echelon of society during the 19th century. The collection was found in the attic of Michel Magnon, the current owner of the Maison. He inherited the house and archives from his grandfather Jules Charles Magnon in 1981. The collection preserved included antique fans from Duvelleroy's past, original manufacturing tools, material, and furniture, all from the long history of the fan-making house. Some of the fans uncovered were made with the feathers from long-extinct birds. They also found files of original design sketches that dated back to 1827. Handheld fans were used by ladies for secret codes. These codes could be to other ladies as a way to communicate without being obvious, and also to gentlemen that the ladies were interested in, without arousing suspicion from their husbands. These codes could be used across rooms and didn't require a lot of hand movement while remaining elegant. The language of the fan was the first official handbook and was published by the elder son of the founder of the Maison Duvelleroy. He used this in London, and the handbook would be included in every box of a Duvelleroy purchase. Some of the meanings behind the codes are: opening the fan wide meant to wait for me, touching the tip with a finger meant I wish to speak to you, letting it rest on the right cheek meant yes, while on the left cheek meant no, handle to the lips meant kiss me, presenting it shut meant do you love me, and you can see more meanings on the slide from the actual handbook. Maison Duvelleroy has had quite a few owners due to its long history, but has stayed within two families as a business. It was started in 1827 by the 25-year-old Jean-Pierre Duvelleroy. He wanted to bring back the handheld fan as it hadn't been used in fashion since the French Revolution. He accomplished this by using the Duchess of Berry's lavish ball in 1829, where only one night revived an entire craft. Jean-Pierre's children continued his legacy. The London Duvelleroy went to his elder son Jules Duvelleroy, the one who published the language of the fan, while the Paris house went to his second son Georges Duvelleroy. Jules Charles Magnon took over the business from Jean-Pierre's grandchildren. It was during his ownership that World War II happened. The house is one of the only French fan makers to have survived after World War II. The house survived because they sold small leather goods and pouches, antique fans, and even restoring those fans, which then became the main activity of the house after World War II, and before Michel revived it with the help of Eloise Gilles and Raphael Lebeau. It is Michel Magnon, Jules Charles Magnon's grandson, who kept the house's archives safe in his attic for decades. He discovered the world of fan making because of Madeleine Boisset, who I will talk about on the next slide. I'm going to give a few unique facts about the history behind the house and the people. Maison Duvelleroy is also known as the last great house of French fan making. In the bullet point below, there are a couple of old addresses for a boutique and atelier. Most of us know what a boutique is, but for clarification's sake, it is where they sell items. An atelier, for those who may not know, is a workshop. The attic archive was said to have been near the Eiffel Tower in Paris in the 7th arrondissement, a district, whereas the boutique was in the 2nd arrondissement. As you can see, the districts are on opposite sides of the Seine River. The house was Queen Victoria's appointed supplier, and they also made fans for the Empress Napoleon III, the Empress of Russia, the Queens of Sweden, Denmark, and Bulgaria. During Jules Charles Magnon's ownership, he continued to employ the same artisans who worked alongside Jean-Pierre and his children. Madeleine Boisset was a longtime apprentice of Georges Duvelleroy and passed on her knowledge to Jules Charles Magnon's children and future successors, such as Michel. She was part of the French resistance and was caught by the German Gestapo during World War II when her affiliation was discovered. She died in 1945 at the Ravensbrück camp. She was an amazing woman that passed on her craftsmanship that led to Michel reviving fan making. Eloise Gilles and Raphael Lebeau were two women who bonded over their love of the elegant accessory. They began searching for antique fan collectors and at an auction came across Michel Magnon. Thus, in 2010, the three of them revived the house and its craftsmanship. Their current master craftsman, Frederic, spends countless hours creating beautiful pieces. There are of course more artisans than just Frederic, and they also create headdresses and mural wall lamps. Their current location is 20 Rue Amélie in Paris. It is a pocket boutique, a small location on the ground floor of their studio. Although the archive was found in an attic, they do still have the pieces, fans, tools, and other items they found there at the boutique in Paris on Rue Amélie. They keep the fans and other items of the archive in antique cabinets right near the storefront. I'm sure they proudly display their history, and although they may not allow just anyone to touch these delicate pieces, it would be magnificent to see them in person. It was well preserved by Michel and his predecessors, as it survived and was then revived because it was passed down through two families who loved the art and craftsmanship of fan making. It is because someone wanted to preserve something they cherished that Michel was able to save and wanted to revive Maison Duvelleroy, because of the passion and love for the craft that was passed down to him from his grandfather Jules Charles Magnon, who also inspired him to do something with the history of the last house of fans in Paris. Here are my two sources. Messy Nessie was the first one I found and went into a brief recap and main history of the house, whereas the actual website for the Maison Duvelleroy goes into further detail, even showing how they make the fans, why they are doing it, and far more history that goes into way more detail that I couldn't fit or didn't fit with the archive of the fans. Here are the questions to spark a conversation. These are questions I thought of while researching and maybe even to think more on. Could you think of other archives that came about because of a family or families? For instance, my family keeps genealogical records and submitted that to the Germans from Russia Heritage Center at NDSU. A lot of items are donated by families from that ethnic group and even create their own genealogical books that they store there. Do you have your own archive of sorts? Maybe it isn't as tense or official, but I'm sure there are archives we have or may grow in the future. For me, I would say something that could turn into an archive personally are the boxes of my travels. I keep mementos, pictures, souvenirs from those trips, and I even keep a small trip diary. What is your favorite thing about archives? I would say I like that archives can come from humble beginnings and develop into something far greater. That is all for my presentation. Thank you for listening.